everyone, greetings. Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be going through the song 7 off of Taylor Swift's newest album called Folklore. I'm going to be going through all of the songs on this album. I'm going to do separate videos for each song. I know there's a lot of theories about this album. I am going to be looking at each song as a standalone, and I will be making at the very least 2 summary videos after I go through all the songs. One of the summary videos will be about the love triangle theory. The other will be just a summary of Folklore and how it is a cohesive album and how everything fits together. So definitely stay tuned for those and subscribe to get notified when those get posted. Usually I like to start off with analyzing the title of the song, but in this case, I'm going to take a look at the title after, at the very end. As a quick disclaimer, music is very subjective. Everything presented in this video is my own personal opinion. I tend to concentrate on diction, which is word choice, and connotation, which can be thought of as like the vibes or the emotions that the words elicit. Let's get started. First one, please picture me in the trees. I hit my peak at 7 feet in the swing over the creek. I was too scared to jump in, but I was high in the sky with Pennsylvania under me. Are there still beautiful things? This is a song about Taylor's childhood. In one of her Instagram posts, she said that one song was about the forest of her childhood. So for me, whenever I read it, whenever she says you, I am interpreting it as her talking to a childhood friend or a childhood acquaintance. Throughout this song, the setting is really important. Obviously, they're in Pennsylvania because that's clearly stated in the first verse. She's saying, please picture me in the trees. Whoever this childhood friend was, I'm assuming that they spend a lot of time playing make-believe, having fun out in a wooded area. That setting is where they had all of their memories and all of their fun. And she's saying, just think of me in that context. Picture me in the trees. She is asking her old friend to make Taylor's memory part of the setting. Taylor is part of the setting. If the setting exists, Taylor exists. Please picture me in the trees. So that first line is a direct comment to the old childhood friend, and then from the second line, we're just getting Taylor reminiscing about something. Taylor says, I hit my peak at 7 feet in the swing over the creek. Word 7 here is a little bit ambiguous. It could just mean 7 years. Maybe she was 7 years old when this happened. So she hit her peak at 7. So you're like, what peak could a 7-year-old hit? Because usually people just peak in high school. When you're 7, you could hit the peak of having fun. You could have like the best year of your life, or you could have hit the peak of a certain understanding. Maybe you came to a big realization at 7 years old. This is just a memory. Again, it's a very specific memory, which is why it's so beautiful and relatable. We may not have the same exact memory of swinging high on a swing and being too scared to jump in the water, but we all have very specific memories from our childhood and just of our life that we hold on to for a variety of reasons. It's a very sweet and kind of somber because there's nostalgia here, but it's a very bittersweet sort of recall she's having here. She was too scared to jump in, but she was still high in the sky. This is literally what happened, but also if you were to look at it through more of a metaphorical lens, when you're high up, there's always the risk of falling down. If you're either too happy or if you have too much of an understanding of something, you get hurt more because you kind of know what's going on. This is kind of what I talked about in my lyric analysis of the song Cardigan, where the protagonist of that song was young, but she understood things a lot, and that's why she was hurt by them more. It's kind of like this, you know, maybe Taylor understood something significant at this age, so she was high up in understanding and in the knowledge of a certain situation. It's risky to be that high up. You can be scared when you're that high up. There's more to lose. There's a greater amount under you, and if you fall from a higher location, there's more chance that you'll get hurt. I love the way she tells us the setting is in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is where Taylor grew up. She grew up on a Christmas tree farm. I know that about her because I love her in a very casual and respectful manner. I love the way that she tells us this because when you're swinging, you're occupying a small space, but Pennsylvania is a very vast area of land. She's making us think about Pennsylvania being everywhere. Do you know what I mean? She's swinging over Pennsylvania, not the whole place, but even the smallest bit of land she's swinging over is part of Pennsylvania. That's just a very brilliant way to state that the setting is in Pennsylvania. I really enjoy that a lot, and it's just very beautiful and very eloquent. I love it. Are there still beautiful things? This suggests that Taylor had a lot of beautiful memories as a child swinging over a creek in Pennsylvania, and she holds that memory very close and dear to her heart. She's saying that was a beautiful memory. Do beautiful things still exist now? Now that she's grown up, are these things still possible? Also, with the last line of verse 1, she's really bringing us back to the present time. I know that I had these memories when I was young, but am I still able to experience such a beautiful, innocent memory now as an adult? It brings us back to the present. Chorus. Sweet tea in the summer, cross your heart, won't tell no other. And though I can't recall your face, I've still got love for you. Your braids like a pattern, love you to moon into Saturn, passed down like folk songs. The love lasts so long. She's saying a little bit of context here. Sweet tea in the summer. That's just a very sweet lyric. This could just be a memory of her drinking tea in the summer. It gives me a vibe of a carefree time, just enjoying the summer outdoors, perhaps playing by the creek that she mentioned, swinging a lot on those swings. Cross your heart, won't tell no other. Cross your heart reminds us that this is about childhood. Cross your heart. I don't even remember the little rhyme that you said, but it's a part of a rhyme that you say as a kid to keep your friends' promises. So she's recalling that, and she's recalling that specific memory she had with this person. So they were close enough to have childhood secrets together. It's a very sweet recall. The next line is kind of heartbreaking. She can't recall this person's face. This was so long ago. It's a common thing in childhood just to play with other kids, and even a few times, and not really know who they were that well, or not even really be able to remember them that well. For instance, I have memories of playing in like a Chick-fil-A like play area with kids that I didn't know, and I still remember how fun it was, like that one instance, and I don't even like remember who the person was. Like they were like a stranger. They were a kid, but like we played together, and I still like randomly remember a few of those instances, but I don't really know who it was. So I understand where she's coming from here. I obviously don't know how well she knew this person. You may remember the events, like I remember playing in like the slide thing, but you don't remember what they look like. So it's kind of like a foggy memory, but you still remember certain parts of it. I love that she mentioned that. It kind of humanizes the whole scenario a little more. It makes it more relatable. I still got love for you. So even though she doesn't remember what this other kid looked like, she still looks back on the memories with a lot of emotion, and she still has love for this person. The moments they shared together had substance for her even as a child, because she remembers them still to this day. Your braids like a pattern. She can't remember her face, but she remembered that she had these braids in a very cute pattern. Love you to the moon and to Saturn. This is kind of like a childlike thing. I love that she says that. This line is very cute. I love you to the moon and back. I love you to moon and to Saturn. When you're a kid, you make more hyperbolic statements. A hyperbole is something that's just exaggerated. Just saying I love you to moon and to Saturn just fits in with this childhood memory theme. Passed down like folk songs. So folk songs, or folklore in general, are just stories that are passed down from generation to generation. Again, I'm gonna make a separate video about what folklore means and how that theme runs throughout all of the songs on this album. I'm gonna make that video after I go through all the songs individually. And Taylor is saying that just like a folk song that's passed down generation over generation, the love that I have for you is something that's not going away. It's going to always be present. So it's a very deep and strong love with a very strong foundation. The next verse. The next verse, every time I listen to it, even though I know what she's gonna say, it makes me stop like in my tracks, and I always just, I'm so surprised. Like I was so surprised she said this, because it's so deep and emotional. Like I'm not surprised she said something deep, but I was just like, whoa, this is such an interesting way to state this. Let's get into it. Whew. And I've been meaning to tell you, I think your house is haunted. Your dad is always mad, and that must be why. And I think you should come live with me, and we can be pirates. Then you won't have to cry or hide in the closet. And just like a folk song, our love will be passed on. I've been meaning to tell you. This broke my heart because this is about a child, and I've been meaning to tell you means that there was forethought about this. This child was thinking about the situation, the events that she witnessed, or the vibes that she got about her friend's home life struck a chord with her. She was thinking about it. Those things occupied space in her mind, even as a 7-year-old, even as a child. She was able to notice those things. Children can be very, very perceptive, and Taylor picked up on something. And in her mind as a child, she's like, you know what? Like, why is her dad always yelling? It must be because the house is haunted. That's like the only reasonable explanation. The "I've been meaning to tell you" line breaks my heart so much because it just shows such an awareness of this child, and she was trying to figure out why. Like, she's trying to find an explanation for her friend to like comfort her, and she's like, you know what, this is why. It's because your house is haunted. That must be why. That breaks my heart so much, just trying to reason through this very hard and like dark situation, and she wanted to tell her friend her reasoning. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I can talk about that lyric for a long time. I'm just gonna move on. Let's talk about the phrase, "your house is haunted." Taylor is suggesting here as a child that the house is haunted, that location is haunted. That's because she probably viewed the dad being angry in that setting, so she's associating those emotions with that location. It's really interesting that she was able to make that observation. You know what I mean? She didn't blame the father, she blamed the place. That's such an innocent viewpoint to have. It's very sweet and innocent, but it's also just in such a dark and heavy context. Your dad is always mad, and that must be why. So Taylor witnessed the home life of her friend, and it wasn't a great thing. And I think you should come live with me and we can be pirates. Very heartbreaking. Again, just the pure innocence of childhood. She wants to take her friend out of that situation. This is very mature for a child. Do you know what I mean? Children can surprise you and can understand very complex situations just in their own way, and this is an example of that. You are, however, reminded that she is a child. She says, we can be pirates. You can be safe with me. We can just play. Then you won't have to cry or hide in the closet. Taylor had witnessed her friend crying. She either witnessed or just heard her friend talk about having to hide in the closet due to the situation at home. These are very heavy things for a child to go through, obviously, and also heavy things for a child to hear about. She's just trying to make sense of it here in this song. There is just a juxtaposition here. A juxtaposition is when things are set side by side for the purpose of comparison. Taylor as a child had an understanding of what was going on, but then there are also pockets of innocence in childhood that remind us that it's a kid processing this, a kid viewing this from the outside. Love you to Moon into Saturn and let's play pirates. You are reminded of that. So there is a juxtaposition of this very adult issue, a very complex and dark issue, and then pockets of innocence in childhood are popping up within that context. The bridge. Please picture me in the weeds before I learn civility. I used to scream ferociously anytime I wanted. I. Again, instead of the trees this time, Taylor is asking her friend to picture her in the weeds. Weeds symbolically are kind of like an invasive species. They don't have a very positive connotation. Taylor doesn't care. She just wants her friend to remember her, even if it's just in the weeds. As long as her friend is remembering her in that location, she's chill with it. Maybe that location, the wooded area, maybe had positive memories for Taylor, but maybe not so much for her friend. So perhaps Taylor is saying, this location may not hold positive memories for you. It may hold hurt, but just at least think of me, because I know we had fun together. Think of me in the trees, even in the weeds, I don't care. Just remember there was a slight bit of goodness that happened here. Let that be your focus, so you don't have to indulge those other memories. Before I learned civility, civility is when you are very like polite and put together. I actually looked up civility in a dictionary, an electronic dictionary, and here's what it said. This is from the Oxford Dictionary. Civility means a formal politeness and courtesy in behavior or speech. So she's saying, think about me before I learn to be formal and polite and just politically correct. Children say what's on their mind and they're not always civil and polite, right? She's saying, remember me like I was as a kid when I would say what's on my mind. When I would tell you, you need to come and live with me. And when I would tell you, I think your house is haunted. I used to scream ferociously anytime I wanted. So when Taylor was a child, she hadn't learned diplomacy and not saying everything that was on her mind. She would just scream and say what's on her mind at all times. And she's asking her friend to remember her in that way. How she was before she grew up, when she was still an innocent child. And when she just wanted her friend to move out of that situation and live with her so they can play pretend and play pirates. You know, the passage of time is really evident here. When Taylor says, before I learned civility, it just kind of brings you back to the fact that we know that Taylor is an adult now, and even as an adult, she is still thinking back to this memory. It had a very profound effect on her. The last verse of the song, sweet tea in the summer, cross my heart, won't tell no other, and though I can't recall your face, I still got love for you. Pack your dolls in a sweater, We'll move to India forever, passed down like folk songs. Our love lasts so long. There are some lines repeated here. I'm just gonna go over the unique lyrics in this verse. Pack your dolls in a sweater. So again, we're reminded this is a kid, right? The sweater is very practical, but you also need to remember your dolls. This is very important. Again, very heartbreaking because Taylor is aware of the reason that her friend needs to pack these bags. We'll move to India forever. Again, juxtaposition. The grown-up part of this is that Taylor is aware that her friend should move, but they want to move from Pennsylvania all the way to India. Do you know what I mean? That's a very childlike wonderment type of thing. It's so far away, it's a different language, a different culture. The word forever too reminds us that this is a child. The diction, the word choice reminds you that there's still the naiveness of childhood here, but it's grounded in a very grown-up understanding of what's happening. Last two lines are, passed down like folk songs. Our love lasts so long. The first time she mentions their love is in the chorus. She says, the love lasts so long. She uses the word the before love. The next time love is mentioned, she says, our love will be passed on. And then at the end, the last lyric of the song is, our love lasts so long. So there's a progression of more intenseness to their love. It went from the to our. She's saying we have ownership of this love. We share it together. It's ours. And it went from being passed on to just lasting so long. When something is passed on, I don't want to say hand-me-down because the love is not going to be diminished in any way, but it's just going to be passed on from generation to generation. It's going to stand the test of time. But when you use the phrase lasts so long, it's just kind of like an expansive thing. It's not passed on, it's just staying here, but it's not stagnant. It's just encompassing everything. Kind of like sunlight. It's everywhere. It's bright and it's beautiful and encompasses everything. Our love lasts so long. And the fact that it can last so long in that way is because it's being passed down through the folk songs, which is kind of what Taylor is doing. This is a folk song and she is passing down that story. I'm literally talking about it here and you might talk about it with your friend or with your parent or whatever. We're passing along this story and we are passing along their love. This is literally what's happening. And maybe when her fans have kids, they're gonna play this song for their kids and they're gonna talk about it with their kids. What she's saying in the song is what's happening now. And now let's finally talk about the title. In the first verse, it really does have a double meaning. It says, I hit my peak at 7, like 7 years old. But then the next line makes you question that because it says 7 feet. I think this is referring to the age she was at, but I think she's kind of playing with us a little bit when she said 7 feet. She's like, does this refer to the age? I don't know. So I think it's just kind of like a little, She's making us think a little bit. I think the main definition of the word 7 here is just referring to her age when all of this occurred. That's all I have for this song. Just like a folk song, let's share this video and pass it along. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Remember to subscribe for more folklore content, and if you have any requests, leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.